Hi, this is Davor from Derokki, and in this video I'll talk about the new Webflow localization feature and how you can use it together with RTLflow to build Arabic or Hebrew multi-language websites. Super excited about this. I was able to test out localization at the Webflow conference in London just around a month ago, and it was really amazing, really good to try out. Now it's been rolling out to enterprise. I was able to work on an enterprise project, launch an English-Arabic website for a big corporation in the Middle East. And since last week, everyone basically has access to this feature. It's being rolled out. So I thought, let's make a video. I'll show you how RTLflow works in combination with Webflow localization. And we're going to use the project example from the last video. So if you haven't watched that video, check it out. That's where I explain why you should use RTLflow to build RTL multi-language websites. And so yeah, we're gonna walk through it here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this currently English build. We're gonna make it Arabic using Webflow localization. I'll also go through the pricing of Webflow localization. I'll show you the different features, which pricing plan might be useful for your project, and in which cases it might make sense to use enterprise. So let's get started. So as you remember from last time, we built this English website, and what we did is we made it RTL friendly. So this means if I add the global RTL element, the direction switches from left to right to left. And we've added in a few new classes, for example, margin inline end, which adds a margin at the end of an element instead of to a static right side. So we've got that one. We've got the RTL icon mirror, which basically mirrors elements. We've got more things like the slider component, which I've created an attribute solution for. So on Arabic, this slider should run from right to left. We've also added some other stuff, for example, insert inline start, which helps you align elements to one side or the other of the document instead of the absolute positioning, which is static. And we've also added, for example, here, two different forms, based on which direction you choose. You can decide to either display an element or hide, which is going to be very useful. You'll see later on as well. And yeah, of course, up here we've got the navigation bar, which if we open it up, it comes from the right side, but on Arabic, it then comes from the left, because obviously the whole thing switches. And so we've got an attribute solution for it as well. There's many more other things, I've added in custom code so you can adjust lists and tables and whatnot. So this is the base setup. What we're going to do now is we're going to add in Webflow localization. So what you want to do is you want to go into the settings down here and you want to click localization, okay? So this is the panel where you're going to manage all your languages. As you can see, we want to choose a primary local. This is your main language from which all content will be inherited. So here, let's go with basic English. I'm going to do the display name, which is also English. And let's not use a subdirectory because we have to upgrade our localization add-on for that. So we're just going to use that. So I'm going to save it, save the changes. Now we've got the English language selected here. And let's add another local. Let's use Arabic, okay? So let's add an Arabic, like this, standard. We're going to have the subdirectory, which you can see here. And then we're going to save the changes, okay? Just like that. So now that we have that done, I'll explain quickly to you how this concept works. So as you know, when Webflow localization was not a thing, what I used to do is I used Linguana. So I had this code in here which would basically help me add all the different classes, which helps you flip the whole website. So I would just activate this code basically. I would remove that and it would change the website direction to RTL, right? And then we'd change the HTML direction and add all the classes and everything, right? So that was kind of like a custom code solution before localization. We're not going to use this anymore. I've added in a new custom code element. I'm going to explain to you how it works. Basically, the same things apply, right? All the things, all the classes, new attribute solution, and so on, we add in a custom code solution. But instead of now targeting, instead of now using JavaScript, we can now use CSS. What we can do is we can use this little thing. So it's the star, double dot, lang, which is language, and then we choose the language code, which in this case is AR. Okay, you can check that out in the localization settings. We add AR, and so based on the language, it then adds the custom CSS. Okay, so this is the new way how we're going to do it with localization. Now, if we go to Arabic, you're going to realize one thing, and that's that the direction changes automatically. So Webflow has thought about this, and now what they've done, they've added the direction attribute to the HTML tag, which, as you know from my previous video, it is not possible to do it manually. If you watch the first video on my YouTube channel, I talk about setting up the RTL direction. It wasn't possible. Now Webflow has done it natively, so we don't even need to add in the the direction as we've done here, for example, before. The only thing now I have to do is we just have to add the custom code. And as you can see, this all works already. This all works, and the arrow changes, the slider elements, as you can see, they're aligned to the other side. So it all works the same way, right? So the only thing that really has changed here, we have now everything visual in Webflow. All the localization features are now visible in Webflow. So let's walk through the features of localization. And this might be a bit confusing. There might be a few limits. I'll show you how this works. So what we're now using is the essential plan. Okay, so we don't have access to the advanced. We don't have access to the enterprise, which is a whole another cost. These are the two things we're going to use. Okay, so I'm going to walk through each feature. We've got add up to 3 locals, so we can add 3 different languages, and you pay per language. Okay, you pay per language an extra price. We've got machine power translation that's included, so I'll show you how this works. So if you just go to the body and we just click right click, and then we go translate to Arabic, it all translates to Arabic basically. And now of course you can edit the text yourself, you can change them up if you want to, so that's all possible. But that's one of the features that's always included. You've got CMS localization, which is very nice. So basically, if you go into the CMS, you have a collection. I'm going to just create one so you can see how this works. So I'm just going to create like a collection, like a blog post collection. If you go in like that, let's add in 5 elements. It's all here now. It's all here now in English. If you go to Arabic, you're going to see that now you can actually just, edit all these things. You can just go in here, you can change the name, you can change the post body, you can basically translate it all. This hasn't now translated for some reason, but there we go. Now it's translated. So you can just localize the whole CMS collections. So that's very good stuff, very good stuff. You can localize static page content, as we said, so we can change text and so on. And we've got localized SEO, which means if you have some sort of SEO here, you can just go in there and just translate it as well. So these are things that are included with the basic plan. And what you'll come to realize is this is just the essential plan. And I believe this is good for most projects. But we've got here an advanced plan, and you've got 3 additional things. You've got the automatic visitor routing, which basically helps a visitor visit their right language based on the local. You've got localized URLs, which means you can change the URL, structure the slug based on what you want to set for SEO. And the third thing is asset localization, which is something that you might want to use. I believe these features are nice to have, but they're not necessary. If you're just looking for asset localization, as you can see here, I can't change the image on Arabic, right? Like I can't physically change the image. It's not possible, right? Because we're on the standard essential plan. So I'll show you an alternative approach, so you don't have to pay $35, okay? You're just gonna copy this image. So you duplicate the image, and you're gonna manage both images in the English local. So this is gonna be home image English. That's the English image. That's gonna be Arabic image. So home image AR, okay? So we're gonna replace this one with, let's say, this here. For some reason I want to show this image instead of this one on Arabic. this one, it's visible on English. This one is going to be hidden on Arabic, okay? Sorry, that's going to be hidden on English and visible on Arabic. So I'm going to hide it now. I'm going to add in a class, which is going to be RTL_display none. This hides the element on RTL. And we've got RTL display block, which makes an element visible. So if I now go to Arabic, you can see I've localized the image. Basically localized it without, the actual visual feature. I just did a little hack and worked around it. So that's one way you can avoid asset localization. When it comes to automatic visitor routing, you can custom code that if you want. You can do that. So that's how you can kind of avoid this plan if you want to really avoid it. Now, one of the more, let's say, annoying limitations is these ones here. Okay, so obviously in an enterprise plan, you got the enterprise scale and you got the full integration. What we're going to focus on is these two: style localization and customizable element visibility. So customizable element visibility basically helps you to show or hide individual elements across locals. I've just shown you how it works, so you just use the classes that I've given you. So you've got RTL display block, RTL display none, and it's all on the RTLflow elements page as well. So you can just check it out here. You've got this whole list of things you can use. But style localization is a big issue, okay? So it doesn't matter if you have the essential, the advanced plan. If you don't want to pay, I don't know how many grand for enterprise, you have to find a way around it. So if you go to the home page, if you go to Arabic, let's say I believe that this, just wait a second, I believe this font is too small. I want to make it bigger, or let's say this text block, I want to make it bigger. You can't. This element has a class to it, and I can't edit the styles. It's disabled with our enterprise. So the only way around it is to actually use proper custom code, okay? If you go to global styles and localization, what you can do now, this is the fun part, you can actually add custom code directly here, okay? So let's say, and also we don't even need this part. So if you manage the localization in here, you can just remove this and it will work the same way, okay? So you don't even need the language code. This is just an example of how you can manage that on the English local. So let's say you want to change the typography, which is a very simple thing. You go type in body, you go write font family, and let's say we use Noto Arabic Sans, for example. So that's gonna add in a different font. And that's one way you can do it. You can just go with custom code and just add stuff in. Let's say, for example, I want this image, this home AR image, I want this to be a bit bigger, You can just go into the code, go in here. Let's say this is home image AR. Also, you're gonna add a dot in because that's how you do classes. And then we say, I don't know, let's say the height is gonna be 200 pixels. And that's basically the way how you're gonna customize, okay? So you want to have the custom code embed on the main local in English, and then based on the local that you then visit, which could be Arabic, you can actually customize the custom embeds, right? So you can add custom code. This is only visible on Arabic, right? You won't find this code in English. So if you go to English, you won't find this code, okay? You won't find it. Go in here, it's not there, right? So this is really, that's a beautiful thing that I've added in. You can customize custom code embeds based on the local. And another little thing I want to show you is you can actually add in attributes based on the local. So let's say I want to keep this, LTR, I can just say direction LTR, for example, because I want to align these elements here, and I can say, look, maybe this is then gonna be direction RTL. I just overwrite it. So you can do that. And these attributes won't be visible in English. This is just for Arabic. So that's another thing that you can do. Basically, you can't edit the CSS. You can't add in elements on different locals except the main local. You can't change the CSS. What you can do is you can go into already existing embeds and you can change CSS using custom code. And you can add in attribute solutions, which is very good. Again, I do everything on the main local, so you know how I work. What you want to do, in my opinion, is you build a website in a right to left friendly way. Before you even go into localization, you just add in the global RTL element. You can test out everything. You can publish it. You can check it out, just as I showed in the last video. That's how you basically want to use localization. So, should you use Webflow localization? In my opinion, absolutely. I use it for all my new RTL multi-language projects. You know, if I have an English or Arabic website, I use localization. It's very cheap. So what I usually do is I just use the essential plan. I don't use localized URLs. I don't really use automatic visitor routing. If I need that, I can custom code that. And asset localization, as I've shown you, there's a method to go around it, but it's also not something I really use regularly. Like very rarely we do asset localization. So I believe if you just use the essential plan, $12 per local is a very fair price, and Webflow localization is really an amazing feature. I recommend you to use it, but if you build English or Arabic websites, you need to use RTLflow. Because RTLflow, as you can see, it just helps you flip everything from arrows, images, sliders, elements, absolute positioning, visibility, lists, tables, everything, right? Navigation bar site, everything. It just helps you do that and makes everything so much smoother. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if it helped you. If you have any questions, just write me an email or comment under the video. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.